I hadn't been keeping up, and I hadn't spoken to Thomas in a long time, and I didn't really know he was ill. I didn't know he was diagnosed in 2023, but I didn't know because I'm out of the loop. Until we started chatting again, I hadn't looked at any metal or, I wasn't on Blabbermouth every day. You know what I mean? Like we used to be looking at what's happened. So I just saw that he died, and it just kind of hit me quite
Mm.
hard. I really had a lot of time for Thomas, and obviously he was an influence on me very early on, and then become an influence on the whole band. Really, I mean, he was the one band that all of us agreed on. Rob,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I introduced the band. I mean, Tim introduced me to At the Gates, and I introduced At the Gates to the whole band, and everyone understood why I liked them. No one,
Yeah, and like them themselves too.
yeah, and liked them. Yeah, exactly. Like
Just
Rob,
yeah, it's the only
Rob,
one I think, isn't it?
Rob had a lot of time for At the Gates. Steve really liked them. I mean, me and him discussed doing like a jokey Simon and Garfunkel in At the Gates style covers band, and
Yes.
the, the sound of violence and things like that. It was going to be great. But
Yeah.
and you obviously liked it. We used to listen to Terminal and stuff, didn't we, in the car? And
Yeah, a lot of tours. It was played in that tour van a lot.
yeah, there was yeah, and obviously for me that stemmed from right at this, you know, towards the end of the recording of the Fear Inside stuff. At the Gates was coming into it. You could the Face of All Your Fears definitely has a little. If the title, even the title, is taken from a Thomas Lindberg lyric on the Slaughter of the Soul album. So
Mm.
like I did with Where to Hide Suicide, which was an Aussie lyric. The Face of All Your Fears was a Thomas Lindberg lyric, and
Oh,
I
I
took
didn't know.
thought I'm having that, and I took it. So you can see Thomas's not necessarily At the Gates influence, but Thomas's
Mm.
influence on the Face of All Your Fears. So that was cool. And then
Mm.
they definitely had an influence on us, didn't they? I mean,
Yeah, definitely. Vocal like vocally and rhythmically, I think also,
mhm.
not just musically. And I can't really think of any other band that you could say that of. Everyone else, it sounds like, yeah, you can phrase things like Phil from Pantera, but then it just sounds like you're being Phil from Pantera.
Mm.
But the whole way that at the gates rhythm of the words and the lyrics, a combination of two, which I think is really unusual to get it that good,
Mm.
in the death metal genre where a lot of the lyrics almost go so far around the dial that they end up almost being silly. Do you know what I mean? There was like just a whole other depth of meaning to the At the Gates lyrics, I think if you wanted to spend the time to listen to what he was saying, it was worth it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, even when you go right to the last album we did, remember the fuck, Bring Out Your Dead. I couldn't remember the name. We did a song on there where we got Steve to sing it.
Mm.
It was just right from the get go. It's like, say it Thomas Lindbergy, like there were like, let's make sure that the phrasing is quite Thomas Lindbergy. And when
Yeah.
Steve said the misery, there was a word in it, misery, and he said misery, sort of thing. And I barely remember the song, but he was trying to do it Thomas Lindbergy, and we wanted him to do it Thomas Lindbergy, and we wanted to kind of follow up that Cancer of the Mind thing. Um,
Still can't believe we did that. I still can't believe we pulled that off. Everyone was like, "You'll never get him." Just
Right, so let's go back to the start then of this, right? So it's actually quite interesting because after Thomas died, I was thinking about the whole thing, all his influence and all the stuff. That's why I thought it'd be nice to have a chat now about him because Jeremy Gray, Tim from Gorade, all of us were there at that time. The way I remember it was I decided to write a song for Thomas Lindberg. Like I didn't write a song and then think Thomas would be good on this. I wrote
no.
a song thinking, I want to get Thomas on a song. Let's write something sort of at the gatesy, that kind of speed, that kind of feel,
Mm.
and see if we can get Thomas on. We had our own rehearsal room at the time, so it wasn't OTR or my mum's garage. It was actual Wickerton Studios.
Mhm.
And remember, we had the three rooms, and we were in like the chill out room or something.
Yeah.
And people would have a little smoke or whatever, and in a break. And the way I remember it was I said to them, I'm planning on getting Thomas on this one.
Mm.
I'll give Rob his dues. He didn't say anything. He just had a look on his face like, yeah, right. But I don't remember him saying anything. But Steve was quite putty down about it. That's how I remember it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember he says he reacted as if you had said that you were gonna try and, oh, I don't know, get Steve Harris to move in with you and share a bed sit flat. Like he was just like, fuck off, man, or something like that. I remember he was laughing.
I remember thinking, I don't know what's so funny. I thought, I don't get what you're laughing at. I've written a song and I want to get Thomas on it. I don't see what the funny bit is. Like,
Yeah, Thomas, and I'm gonna try and, well, I'm gonna tell him,
but I remember
obviously.
there was a funny vibe in the room after that. But we just carried on, like what are you gonna do? So we carried on rehearsing after that, and nothing was, it might have been towards the end, but we still out the rest of the day there, whatever it was. You were driving at the time because you drove to those rehearsal. That was the period where you were doing all the rehearsal driving. So
Mm.
you pick me up and then Rob on the way,
Yeah.
and then drop us off. Right?
Afterwards. Yeah.
That was your thing at the time, right? You know.
Yeah.
And I remember getting back in the car because for some reason Rob wasn't with us. It was just me and you who got in the car. I don't. Maybe he stayed there with Steve for some reason, or he had his motorbike at that point, right?
Mm.
Because me and you got back in the car. We drove off, and as you like turned the corner and stuff, you started swearing and blah 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 blah. Do you remember this? You started swearing, and I was like, "What's up?" You said, "How fucking rude!" Just you were really angry.
I hadn't remembered, but it sounds like me.
You got really angry for me because you were like, you're trying to do something and he's taking the fucking piss out of you when you're trying to do something for the band. And you turned to me and you reminded me of Mia. You were like, you fucking like do it and show them. You know what I mean? You had that mentality.
Yeah.
I I kind of appreciated how angry you got on behalf of me because you understood like you're trying to do something.
Yeah,
Don't
don't
put
get,
don't put
don't
him
get,
down because the
no.
person in
I
your
hate people that piss on other people's bonfires.
right, and you said you fucking make it happen and show it, and you all your sort of, you're quite mouthy at the time. And you shut that stupid, blah, 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 you know. And I just remember thinking, okay, well, it was cool because everyone else seemed to find it amusing, and it kind of get in your head, can't it? And I could have decided not to follow up because I felt stupid now because I'm
Mm.
just
Mm.
I'm just Lucky's from 54. Why would I talk to Tom? If I'd let people get in my head, that wouldn't have happened. And you kind of made sure that because you knew me, I think, and you made sure that no one stayed in
I
there.
just can't stand the idea of trying to crush anybody's ambition. That's just it's just so fucking depressing. Like, you've really got to fight that shit. Like, that's the joy. There's not much joy to be had, it can seem, in life, right? And when you live like that with that, oh no, I better not. What if they say no? Ooh, then there's no fucking joy. Like, just give up. Just stop. Just go and work in a shop until you retire. Oh, shoot me. Like, we're in a fucking band. We're supposed to have some ambition.
I didn't even think that Thomas wouldn't do it. I thought I'm going to ask him, we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
when
And that
someone,
was what I remember. That was what they found really strange, the way that you weren't like um baffled by the process. You were just like, well, yeah, like he'll have a manager or something. Like, well, I know a few people. Like, I'm sure we'll be able to chat. And they were like, that was what I think really they didn't have the sort of, yeah, we're on an equal footing, we're a cool band, he's in a cool band, I'm sure we can chat. They put themselves in the bracket of people that were nowhere near good enough or something to talk to people on his level. And it's not like we were being arrogant and being like, unrealistic. um the music that we were writing was good. The song that you wrote for him would have been fantastic for him. As it turned out, it was. I didn't understand what the need to sort of like look down and almost poke fun. But do you know what? You might want to take this out after, but I'm remembering now we're talking about it. I'm remembering at the time there was a fair bit of like toxic rivalry going on, actually. there was a little bit of something to do with I can't remember if it was a girl or a couple of girls.
Really?
Jealousy issue running through at that point, and I had tons of
I'll
things.
cut out the girl's name if you keep this in, but
Oh yeah, yeah, that would have been one of them probably. There was just a slight tendency to sort of try and compete with you with things that you weren't even in the arena
that's
for.
weird because we didn't like, or at least I didn't like the women he liked. So where was the competition?
They just got pissed off that girls used to come up to you and they never came up to them.
I'll tell you what the problem with Steve was, right? If he fell into a barrel full of tits, he'd come up sucking his thumb. But what's that got to do with me?
Yeah, well, this is the trouble, you get insecure types, insecure men and insecure women, and for whatever reason, the girls used to like just come up to you and just sort of try and chat you up. Where Steve was jealous and quite insecure and quite bitchy about things, he would have tried to needle you about it, would have tried to get a bit of a rise out of you, would have tried to see if he could get a bit of a reaction out of you. And I think that he just managed to sort of get in Rob's ear a little bit, just,
Well, he definitely did by the end. But
we
I
know
just,
that he did that by the end about other things, so I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, rather, if that wasn't down to Steve sort of saying, "God, he thinks he's so much better than us," or something like that. Weird
oh,
shit.
actually, you are right because do you remember when? Obviously, I'm going to have to cut these names out. But do you remember when Steve
Yeah, I
and
do.
the next time we saw them, he was like, "You said, why is he trying to rub it in your face? You don't give a fuck. You've
No,
already turned her down."
yeah,
So
yeah, I
you've
do.
already turned her down. So he got sort of like he was second choice, and he's rubbing it in your face that he was second choice basically. Like how weird. Do you
Yeah,
remember
yeah, I
this?
do. Rob could never give a fuck about stuff like that. He was very easygoing about. He liked, he liked it when he, you know, found a girl and they met up and they had a good time. Of course, he liked it, but he wasn't like he never got jealous and funny like that. But Steve had issues though. We know this now,
Well,
but
it was girl issues that broke up the band in the end anyway. When
yeah,
you think about it.
from him, like a 12-year-old girl as
Yeah,
well at
12,
that.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, to go back
Yeah.
to it. So basically, you said, make sure you fucking do it. Anyway, cut to next rehearsal. I've got Tomas Lindberg's number and I'm gonna call him like next week. And people were shocked that I had his number.
Hmm.
And then it become real for me. And I remember thinking, oh no, I've got to call him now. And it was a strange feeling because now I was nervous. I was like, you have to call this guy
Mm.
that you fucking absolutely kind of look up to.
And not only that, you have to kind of sell him something. You don't just have to phone him and say, "Hello, my name is blah blah." Okay, bye then, and somehow get through that. You've got to phone him up and you've got to say, "Do you want to do this thing with me?" And I promise you, like, I'm not weird. I'm not a stalker. This is a real song. Like, I'm in a real band.
It's a weird request when you think about it.
It
When
was a big
you know
ask.
the world's crazy. I mean, it was a slightly different world then, but you are calling up someone as a stranger,
Mm.
and then you're going to ask them of something, right? I remember walking up and down, just scared to dial the number. Took me ages to make the call. Just pacing up and down, going, starting to dial it and hanging up and going, hang on a minute, I need to think about this because I don't want to fuck it up. So I started
Mhm.
writing little things on the paper so that if I went, I could look down and go, oh yeah, you're asking him this. So I wrote a couple of little notes down on the paper, and then I finally called, and it started ringing, and it was a weird ring because dude's in Sweden, and it was a weird ring, and I just remember it ringing, and my heart was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, is he gonna answer? Is he gonna answer? Is he gonna answer? I'm going to start the new one and then we'll carry on.